we have an exclusive from XDA developers. And I got to give a shout out to Max Weinbach, because he's been the guy on Galaxy S20, S20 Plus, S20 Ultra. He's been the guy. I don't know what he's doing. He must be eating his Wheaties cereal in the morning, because every leak on planet Earth, it flows through Max Weinbach so far in 2020. So shout out. And of course, he works and writes for XDA developers. He's got some new information, S20 information. Here are the new camera features in the S20 Plus. This is important because increasingly these things are just, the camera features are kind of where you start when you're considering these smartphones at these types of price tags. So he has some leaked information about the cameras, camera sensors. Apparently, there's a new Sony-made IMX555, which is an unreleased sensor. I'm saying we have the device info, the leaked screen grabs. If you scroll down a bit there, Kirk, you'll see with the watermark, in case you didn't know, that it came from the Weinbach himself. You slam it right in there so you don't go messing around reposting. And if you do, it's well known. The originator. 12 megapixels, 1.8 sensor, so big pixels, 12 megapixels. That's that particular sensor. It's going to be on the main camera. And then it leaves the rumored 64 megapixel. There was talk at one point of 108 megapixels. You got the 4 cameras represented here that have leaked out. 4 cameras, including potentially maybe a macro, but you're going to have a lot of zoom range nonetheless. And I believe it's, they're claiming, oh my God, look at this, a total of 30x zoom. Is it going to be all optical, one of these hybrid situation? Who knows? For me, what's interesting is in the video recording department, some major claims have now sort of been reiterated, possibly closer to confirmed now, including the one from the previous episode, 8K video recording. Kirk's a big video guy.
Yeah, 8K 30. That's
shot
nuts.
Any video before, Kirk?
Once. One time.
Once or twice?
Yeah, just once.
8K video on a smartphone at 30 frames per second. It's present on the S20 Plus, so not just the Ultra version, but you'll see it on the Plus model as well, maybe even the non-Plus model. We have to wait and see, but that's where these leaked screens originate. There will be no 24 FPS, Kirk. Cinematographers, very angry. Picket lines, signs at Samsung HQ. Cinema!
My life is in cinema. So they went 30 FPS instead. I don't think that's such a big deal. People need to get on with it. I don't know. I don't mind the 24 here and there, but I don't really care that much. In 2020, I'll take 60. Yeah, I'll take 60.
Whatever.
I mean, you're watching it on your phone most
Flow
of the time
state.
anyway.
Flow state.
60 is flowy for sure.
It's, you're just zooming around. It feels very futuristic. I don't know. 24 is cool for certain projects anyway. And the other cool part here, 4K 60 FPS with video stabilization, likely both optical and electronic. What a time. And no HDR on that 4K 60, but that's to be expected, as well as on the 8K. Those are high-end features. But I mean, to even have video stabilization 4K 60, that's pretty wild. And they're also going to bring the zoom-in mic feature from the previous version, smart selfie angle. That's able to tell how many people are in the frame and whether or not it should automatically adjust to the wider angle selfie in order to include those extra people. That feature is going to be in there. There's going to be the Pro Video mode that we talked about earlier. Four separate cameras at least. So exciting times for not just this Ultra model, but also for the Plus model. Here are the specs, just to wrap it up. Main camera, Sony IMX555. That's the 12 megapixel sensor with the big pixels. Secondary camera is a Samsung sensor, 64 megapixels. Then you've got another Samsung sensor on there. The fourth camera is currently unknown, and the front camera, Sony IMX374, which is going to have the same 10 megapixel sensor as the current S10 and Note 10. So We're getting closer to this launch. We're finding out more information. I think the camera heads are going to be happy and excited. We're going to see stuff we haven't seen before, including some of these crazy exotic resolutions, frame rates, stabilization, all the stuff you love in the morning.
What do you make of this like
in the
mix
morning
of Sony chips and Samsung, or Sony sensors and Samsung sensors?
Well, Sony's crushing it, obviously, in the smartphone sensor department. And so possibly it's the way to compete. If Samsung wants to be at the top of the food chain, be talked about in the same paragraph or sentence as the other competitors, the iPhones of the world, the Pixels of the world, you want something tried and true. And so maybe Sony, they took a look and they felt like they could get superior results out of that Sony sensor, even though they're Samsung. And so increasingly we're seeing this. And I don't mind it. The component that's the best for the job, you got to buy it from another vendor, slap your badge on it at the end. These smartphones are at their best when they're collaborative from a hardware perspective. And so it's not the first time we're going to see a Sony sensor. And the real unfortunate part of what you just talked about is Sony phones. Where are the Sony phones? If Sony's making these incredible smartphone sensors, I'm not saying that the Sony phones aren't out there, but for whatever reason, they haven't really taken hold.
Yeah, take like an RX and slap a phone on it.
Slap a phone on the RX.
Yeah.
Might be a bit chunky. Some of those things have been tried.